All right, guys, we're back at the Artists at Work podcast, and I'm your host, Abad Gomez. And today is a special guest for me, Ubaldo Martinez. Me and Ubaldo met at the House of Gains gym, and what really caught my attention with Ubaldo is his consistency. Ubaldo, thank you so much, but I want to share this with you. The appreciation that I have for you. What really caught my attention was your consistency going to the gym every single morning. The way that you keep people accountable. I don't know if you remember this, but one time we actually took a walk in the Seabridge community and you mentioned certain type of words. You actually mentioned just how the mind shift of how your words when you communicate can make a difference and an impact in your business and your overall life. And that's one of the things that made me respect you a lot more because you came with a sense of humility, but also a sense of, hey, raise the standard for yourself, for who you are. And thank you so much. I know that you're very busy, so thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And
Yeah, well, Avad, first of all, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me be part of your podcast. I definitely remember having that conversation, and words are energy, and words, wherever words we use, really become a reality. And I'm a huge believer in just the power of intent and the power of words. And I remember that specific conversation because you mentioned my little business or
yeah,
something about my little business, and I'm just like, what is there? What little is about your business?
yeah.
And I'm like, there's absolutely nothing small. And at the time, you've been successful and you've scaled your business into a very successful business. So congratulations. So
Thank you. Thank you.
it's just one of those things that I'm very mindful of when I'm speaking and when I hear family members, friends, colleagues talk in a way that diminishes their value or diminishes their credibility. I'm just like, stop right there. We're not doing that. Let's just go ahead and
Yeah,
think bigger. So,
yeah.
and also thank you for saying my name correctly, Ubaldo,
Well,
Ubaldo Martinez. Yeah, it's not a very common name, so I oftentimes have people that just completely botch it, and it's
yeah.
just like I don't even take the energy to correct him anymore. So, but thank you.
Of
Happy to be
course,
here.
man. Well, I would probably say that I have a very similar situation. You know, my name actually is just 4 letters, and you could imagine how many people say everything other than Abad, right? But one of the, I think how I took it was just your overall definition of humbleness,
Mm.
because when we had that conversation, you had mentioned that. In a way in our community, and I think we're going to talk and go deep into like what's going on in our community, what's going on in the overall in the United States with the immigration and the Mexican and the Mexican Americans, but the humility that you saw that a lot of people in our community mentioned, oh, I have a little business, or I'm just getting started, or poco a poco, right? These certain phrases, but in a way, it's belittling you, belittling
Mhm.
you and who you are and what you present, and that we have to change that awareness of like what humble actually means, right? But going into putting that aside, we're gonna dig deeper into that. Tell me a little bit about yourself, so the audience can know who you are, where you come from, your background, schools, or anything that you want to mention. So if it's important for people to know about Ubaldo.
Absolutely. So once again, my name is Ubaldo Martinez. Professionally, I'm a senior manager for a financial institution here in the area. On top of that, I am a real estate husband. So shout out to my wife Liz. If you need to buy or sell, invest, reach out to her. This is not a sponsored ad. I am a dog dad. I am a uncle. But most importantly, I'm a human being.
Yeah.
That's just who I am as a person. Just want to make sure that people know that I'm here for them. People know that I'm an advocate for human rights. I'm an advocate for personal development. I'm an advocate for mental and physical wellness. And I'm just a person that wants to see other people do well. And so many times we put ourselves in a box, a stereotype, or even a cage where it's just like, no, we're meant to be greater than that. So that's I would say who Ubaldo Martinez is.
Mhm.
A little bit about myself. I was actually born in Jerez, Zacatecas, Mexico.
Nice.
So shout out to all my Zacatecanos out there. Very proud to know where I come from,
Yeah.
and I don't share that often. Things it's like, but now I think more than ever, it's important for people to know my stories and the different stories that many of us bring. So
Yeah.
I am extremely, once again, proud to say that where I come from.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for this opportunity and thankful for this country that has brought out endless opportunities for my parents, for my family. I've been fortunate enough to graduate from Cal Lutheran University as well. I've had many certifications in the financial services industry, service industries as well, leadership academies. So that's just a little bit of what I do. So
Yeah. Well, it looks like you invested a lot of time into developing the man that you are right now. Where I can definitely see, like I said, we met at House of Gains Gym, and every single time that I saw you in the morning, you always said hi. You were always very respectful, and the times that we did communicate, I did notice that you were very consistent. Last year, I believe it was last year, where you created this motto, the hashtag Never Miss, and everybody knew you as Mr. Never Miss. Where does that come from? Is that a way that you challenge yourself every single year, or what? Why did you do that?
so Never Miss really came about just kind of holding myself accountable. Where I started back in the day with Snapchat, I'm just like I'd post like never miss a Monday, and then be like, all right, never miss the first of the month, and then like never miss like your birthday workout,
Yeah.
never miss this holiday workout, and then it just became a thing, and it's just like you know what, and then I really started incorporating in a day to day life where it's just like, well, never miss what people were like, never miss what.
Yeah.
I'm like, never miss the opportunity to be a better person. Never miss the opportunity to tell your loved ones, I love you, I appreciate you. Never miss the opportunity to show up for others. So it just kind of went for me personally beyond the gym, where it's just like, yeah, never miss a workout because there was a season where I went to the gym probably, it was like a maybe 267-day consecutive strike of not going to the gym.
Yeah.
I'd be going on a trip at like 6 in the morning, and I'd be at the gym at 2 in the morning before my flight, just because I was quote unquote locked in. But I didn't want to miss. I kind of had um, that accountability from social media because it's just like, hey, well, Waldo, like you're not on your trip. Are you going to work out? And that was me. We were out in Jamaica. We were in Zacatecas. I was there finding local gyms, or I was working out at the hotel gyms just to make sure that I showed everybody that this is what consistency looks like. This is what never miss looks like. And never miss can really be applied to anything in your life. So it's just once again, never miss the opportunity to take the opportunity. So
Got it, got it, got it. In a way, it's just how people see you. In a way that create a sense of accountability,
yeah, absolutely.
because you're on social media. Like for me, like now that I'm getting to know a little bit more about Never Miss,
Mhm.
I didn't know that. Like how I saw it was just more like he never misses the gym.
Yeah.
That's how I saw it. Because every single day that I saw you there, I'm like, man, damn, this guy's always there. And it keeps you in a way accountable yourself,
Yeah.
because you're watching this guy showing up every single day. um, did that drive you as well, because you get I guess your followers or your viewers or the people that are following you, your friends, or people that want you to win, or people that are like, he's
I-
gonna miss the next day? Did that keep you accountable, or did that I guess drive you to consistently continue to do it?
It definitely helped, man. Like I said, having the urge to like want to miss at times was definitely there, or having the responsibility to just like, man, I just want to take a rest day, but it's just like, no, they can't see me not go to the gym. So,
Wow.
like I said, there'd be at times where it's just like, oh, what if I just reuse a photo that I worked out? But I'm like, no, I know Abad was at the gym this morning. I know that Ilari was at the gym this morning. I know that this person was there, and they know that I was wearing all black, and today I'm wearing all white. So it's just like, no, I can't. I
Yeah.
can't fake it.
Yeah.
That's the type of like person I am. Like I'm not here to fake it. So it's just like, if I was there, I was there. If not, then you know what? I'll hold myself accountable. You know what? My body is asking for a rest day, and there's been times where it's just like, I don't go to the gym for 2 weeks because it's just like after my marathon, it's just like my body needed a rest, and I just took 2 weeks off of not doing anything, and that felt good. Was it a bit disappointing that I quote unquote missed?
Yeah.
Absolutely, but you know your body more than others, but once again, that's how Never Miss started.
Got
So
it. Got it. So it goes back to like what we were talking a little earlier before we started. It's just how you, I guess, how you critique yourself, right? A lot of the times we're very hard on ourselves, and we want to make sure that like the social media presence is really you. But you mentioned it's like sometimes you want to be in board shorts and just sandals, and you just want to be able to relax, and you don't want to portray somebody that you just not, right? You also want to make sure that, like you mentioned, you want to be a human being. You want to be able to relax. You want to be able to just kick back. right? And just be Ubaldo and say, fuck, I don't want to do this.
Exactly.
Sorry, my
Yeah,
language,
no,
but
no,
yeah,
please,
like,
dude.
bro,
Hey, this is your podcast. You can curse. You're good, man.
you're like, man, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I actually don't want to wake up, and I actually kind of just want to, be in the covers a little longer.
Yeah.
But then again, it always gives you that, I guess, that your mindset. It just like, okay, I have to do it because of this, because of that. And when it goes to the mindset, what has really given you that mindset? Like the adversity where you mentioned you're born in Zacatecas. I don't know how it was with your parents. You go into college, you go into university. Now you mentioned you're an executive senior branch manager, or
Not an executive just yet,
okay,
I would say, but I'm one of the senior managers
okay,
at
okay,
a
got it,
financial
got it, got it.
institution I work for. And I said, very blessed to be in the position that I am.
The executive, like you were able to accumulate, you keep accumulating, I would say, progress in your life, right, as a human being. But what drives you? What is something that you feel like, for instance, for myself as a young kid, when I was 18,
Mm.
I had a kid. I was 18. I had my firstborn, Julian. And I remember the situation when I would go into, my family's from Oaxaca, Mexico. So they're big on culture, they're big on traditions. So I'll give you kind of just a little bit of what happened. Gabby and I, we got pregnant, right? Well, she got pregnant, right? I was the cause of it, and he gave us a beautiful child. But when it was that day, I was like, man, I'm 18. Like, I don't want to have a kid. I didn't want to have a kid. At that time, I didn't. I was 18. I'm like, I was a kid myself.
Kids, right?
And you go into that meeting, my dad was more in the culture. It's like, hey, you know what? We come and offer you, I guess, a peace bind, which was like 24 de modelos. You show up and you tell them, hey, you know what? Unfortunately, this is what happened. They made a decision. They're adults. And now what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And they were trying to force, like, I guess not force us, but they were trying to kind of obligate us to make sure that we get married right away. And at that time, maybe some people are gonna be like, man, he wasn't, he didn't get married, or you could get that, kind of like, I guess that feedback. People are gonna agree with me, people are not gonna agree with me. But at that time, bro, I didn't want to get married. Like, I was 18. I was barely starting my life. I wanted to go to the Marines. I wanted to become a Navy SEAL. I played water polo. I swam. And every single time that I kind of evolved in my life, I realized that there was always something that was like, either somebody was okay with what I did, or somebody was against with what I did. But at the end of the day, we decide to do what we want to do. But there's a certain type of drive, right? And for me, that drive became my son. After that, it was just like, okay, maybe I'm not gonna marry, but I'm gonna be a good father to you. I'm gonna be present. I'm gonna be there. And in a way, when I was younger, it was just like I wanted to be a better father than my father. My dad did the best, but I didn't get to know that until I got older. I didn't get to know that my dad was really just a human being, that he created, that he did mistakes, but for a while, it was something that drove me, right? Like, I want to be a better father. Then I have my daughter, and it's the same thing. Oh, it was a very bad relationship. I got myself into a really toxic relationship, and I left. Why? Because I didn't want to give my daughter the same relationship that I grew up in, right? And it's like, you want to make these changes and they drive you for a while, but then you start reflecting. It's like, okay, well, this drives me here. Now, what drives me here and what drives me here? There's always certain things that you either get driven by there's like advancement,
Yeah.
that you want to make sure that there's something better. Another thing is like madness, like somebody did something to me and I'm gonna prove them wrong. And another thing is like, it's a personality trait. Is like, oh, I want to get that Rolex, I want to drive that Ferrari. And something that's more like personal, that you want to change a generation. And I think we talked a little bit about that. I think you're in that sense of now, in that in that stage with the personal, that we talked about. You want to change generational. But when you were younger, as you started getting older, what drove you?
Man, that's a great question. And a few years back, actually, I was doing a lot of self work where I was just like, I was trying to analyze where my drive and ambition came from. And I'm just like, well, I'm self-ambitious. Like, I've always been ambitious and very goal oriented. It's like ever since I can remember, probably starting in kinder, when I started kinder here in the States, wanting to be the student of the month. I'm just like, I want to win student of the month. And it's just like every single grade, I'm like, I made that like a goal of mine. I need to win student of the month at least once a year. and I need to become student of the year. So like I always just for some reason was always so oriented. I wanted the next thing. I wanted the next award. I wanted the next recognition. I wanted the next thing. And unfortunately, it's still transcended into my current life now. But after having a conversation with my dad, actually, it really, he called me I was actually at the gym. He called me. I'm like, what's my dad want? My dad never calls me unless he needs something or vice versa.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, he just wanted to call and catch up. And then we're just, okay, catching up. We talked a little bit about, his work and then my work. And before I knew it, I had like a realization that it's just like my dad, his ambition to come to the States, to be here, to bring the family and I over, to come here, to, to pay off his mortgage, to pay off his cars, to pay off everything and be completely debt free, whatever that was. And I'm just like, that's my dad being ambitious. And I'm just like, for so long, I was just blindsided, but it's just like, oh my dad's he's just a workaholic. But I'm just like, I put two and two together, like, no, like my dad has also always been setting goals from day one, from when my older brother was born to now, to our youngest sibling of, putting him through college, of helping my family and I, get through, some times. And I'm just like, that's where it comes from. Cause I always thought, my mom was, she was a stay-at-home mom for many years and then she transitioned into the workforce after we all went to school. But I would say he definitely has a lot of influence in my ambitions and my goal orientation. But a pivotal point in my life, I would say, is when I started dating my wife, where it's just like you now have met somebody who has encouraged you to level up, willingly and unwillingly. You're like, okay, now I'm a partner. Now I dated to hopefully marry, and God, with God's grace, we're married. We've done a lot of things together, but being with her has definitely encouraged me to take it to the next level, because as men, we want to be providers, we want to be protectors, we want to be financially stable, we want to be the best version of ourselves. And even if I was in a good position at the time, it's nothing what it is today. I've grown so much, through therapy, through a lot of uncomfortable conversations, through, professional development, personal development. But that really was the turning point. It's just like, okay, we're going into the next season of life. It's time to regroup, to pivot, and to just shift our focus into one another in our professional careers and our businesses. And yeah, the ambition and the goals continue, man. Like I said, now it's just having a balance of, alrighty, I've accomplished this goal. I've had this title. We bought this, we bought that. It's being content
Yeah.
with what you have while aspiring to get more or to be more. Because as men, I would say we are just like onto chasing to our next goal, our next medal, our next trophy.
Yeah.
But it's just like, at what point do we become like happy or content?
Right.
And that's the constant battle that I have with myself, where it's just like, if I get recognition, be like, well, that's my job. If I get praise, be like, well, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's just like, if I do something around the house, it's like, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. Like, I'm your partner, I'm your manager, I'm your leader, whatever it is. Like, this is my job. But it's sometimes giving ourselves the grace that, we're now living some of our most sought out dreams or goals from when we were 10, when we were 15, or even 5, 10 years ago. So
Yeah, that's amazing, Waldo. You mentioned a lot of things. I know we go deep into like your father getting that call and just, which probably for you is like, what's going on? Because that's something that is not common in the community, or maybe in the generation that we grew up. Hopefully now newer generations are changing that. And my for me as a father, yeah, I try to do that with my son all the time. But you still get that restriction. I've learned that when they're young, and this is something that I went through, is they idolize you, and then as they get older, they demonize you, and hopefully they humanize you. And I think you've understood, like, where we're on the same, is that we're able to humanize our parents. And a lot of the times it's all the information that we have gathered. You meet up with new group and you go back and you say, hey, oh, this is my perspective, or what went through my head as well, was like, man, these people did this. And then you go back and you're like, man, why do we do this, dad? Why do we do this? And instead of helping him, you're just like either questioning or you're antagonizing him to be like, hey, ¿por qué no hiciste esto? Why didn't you do that? You could have done this. We could have this. And for him, it was like, man, I was doing it. but I was doing it a different way because I sacrificed everything. I come into a country where I don't know the language. I don't know anything about it. I'm from a small town. Come here. For them, that was freaking huge. And when I put myself in those shoes, when I go back and I look at my parents and I see that, I'm like, damn, bro. Like I went to Japan and I was there for a week. I couldn't talk to one person, like I couldn't talk to one person. And just being around the people was amazing. But after a week, I was like, I want to go back home. And I could just really see myself like when they're there, like they were here. When they're here, right? And they're doing their job and they're putting a family, man, shoot, that's amazing. Able to own a home, not speak a word of English, being able to build a home back in their hometown, create an impact, raise 4 or 5 children. And then you look at yourself and you're like, shoot, I guess, and also you look at it yourself, thanks to them, they were able to give you that stepping stone to move forward, right? To move forward and do what you're doing right now. And that's the beautiful thing. I know that we go into like, right now that we're talking about this, right? I get a little emotional about this because it's true. That's what you see in the community, and you see that. But the changes that we have to make for our life, what are the things that you've seen that I guess my question would go to, what are the things that you've seen that has either conflicted a lot of those opinions in our community? Because many would say, many would probably still have that conversation with their parents that they're not okay with what they did, that they still challenge it. What would you say to them to help them? Because you talk a lot about investment in yourself, but there's people that are not investing in themselves. There's people that are not pursuing accolades to make sure that they're doing something different. What would you say to them and making a difference in the community? I know that you're a very big advocate on going into, now we're pivoting, right?
Yeah.
We're pivoting into the kind of the community, the Mexican American traditions, and that's what we're talking about right now. What would you say to them is like make a change? Because right now what's going on in the world, there's a lot of division. My opinion, there's a lot of division. There's people that, had voted for a campaign that made that that what would be the word, that promised you a different change, but the change wasn't defined until it actually happens. And now that we're moving forward, there's changes that give you that keep you in a bind, a little restricted, because you can understand, or the people that understand the certain things about politics, what politics are, or governance, what governance is, or power, what power is. But then you get an emotional side, like we talk about, is like your family sacrificed so much, and there's a lot of people coming in now that are sacrificing a lot. And what their goal is not to take away anything from anybody, but to be able to accomplish their goals, their dreams. And but where it becomes conflicting is, are they able to have those hard conversations like you mentioned? You had to confront difficult conversations. You had to make sure that you had those conversations to make a change. You talk about how you meet somebody, you meet your wife, and they kind of push you to level up. And you have to remove the certain habits that you learned. And at times, they're very hard. Because in a way, you were instilled since you were a little kid that you believe, no, you know what? I'm right, you're wrong. And it's like being able to kind of just break through that shell and make those changes. I guess my question is, like, how would you suggest, or how do you think that a person that's wanting to do that and is a little conflicted and can't do it, what would help them move forward and make those changes in their life?
It's a very good question.
And I know I went everywhere, right? So
I'm processing.
trying
You know,
to
it's
process.
loading and
Sorry,
loading.
yeah, about it.
So if I go all over the place, please excuse me. But the very first thing is forgiving your parents. Forgiving your parents and forgiving yourself. The very first thing is because you talked about it. Our parents, growing up, we probably demonized them and we say, you know what, Mi papá nunca me llevó al parque. My mom was this. My mom didn't do this. My dad did this. He was always at work. My dad, didn't go to the pumpkin patch with me. Now, as we are older, we can see that it's just like they were doing the best they could.
Yeah.
This was also their first time living life in a boring country that they didn't know. They didn't have the resources that we have. They didn't have therapy. They didn't have education. So it's hard for a lot of us, Generation Zero and first generation Mexican Americans, to really understand that. And with the first time that you forgive your parent, genuinely forgive your parents, and withhold that resentment, is the moment that you and your relationship changes with them. Because I'm going to be very vulnerable. At one point, it's just like I also felt a certain way towards my parents. I love my parents, and
Yeah.
for a while, I was like the golden child, and that puts a lot of pressure on a kid. And it's just like you're told about, oh, you're the smart one,
Yeah.
you're the fast one, you're the strongest one, and then you're always getting good grades, and vas a ir a la mejor escuela, y vas a hacer esto, vas a hacer otro, like, and you believe it. We talked earlier about the power of words. You start believing this, and it's just like sometimes parents don't understand that they're putting a crazy amount of pressure. So it's just like for a while, it's just like, fuck, man, I'm tired of trying to be the perfect son for you guys. And once I realized that it's just like I was gonna be okay with disappointing my parents multiple times, and that's when I really started living. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm okay with disappointing. If I'm okay with disappointing my parents, I'm okay with disappointing anybody else. So that's really when I started like, I can breathe. You know what? Yeah, mom, I did that. So what? I didn't get tattoos. I didn't pierce myself or whatnot. But nonetheless, like I allowed myself to set those boundaries and also to break that image that they had of me. And I said, not that I've done anything wrong, but sometimes it's important just to continue being yourself in a position that your parents have put you up in a pedestal or in a certain image. That's okay. So and then the second part was acknowledging that our parents really paved the way for us to be here. We talk so much about sacrifice, and that really is a big thing that we just think that it's handed to us. Now, so many of us are privileged enough to just be here in beautiful homes, beautiful environments, working, doing the best we can to now take it to the next level and accomplish more than they did. But a lot of times we just discredit our parents, and it's just like, well, that's what they were supposed to do. No, they weren't supposed to do any of that. They also chose to leave their ranchos in Mexico, leave their towns in Mexico, come back here, as you mentioned, go into a country that they did not know the language or the people. So it's important to forgive your parents, and also to forgive yourself. And I say yourself as well as for reacting a certain way, or not giving yourself or not giving yourself enough credit for the things that you did go through or didn't go through. So I think once those two things come from the heart, because it's really hard though. Like you think, oh, like I forgive you about it, but deep down you're like, nah, I don't, like F about it, And this is like, nah, it's not like that, dude. It's just like when you talk from the heart and you talk to like cleanse your soul and genuinely forgive somebody, that's honestly when you really start living life.
Yeah.
And then going back to the climate,
Yeah.
to the political climate, which I'm sure we'll get started in the conversation.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is education, man. Education.
Yeah.
Even though there's a lot of educated people that voted a certain way, everybody's entitled to vote however they want. I feel that we disappointed a lot of our own people. We voted against our own people. And I'm not saying we that I'm included, but there's a lot of people in the Hispanic, Mexican, Latino community. They did just that, all because of a simple policy or of a simple idea that aligned with their current selves at the time, that they failed to really analyze and check out the entire ballot, their entire agenda. And it's so important to, I'm not saying you need to go to Harvard Law School and get educated on politics. It's just really doing your research, your unbiased research on what things are on the ballot, what the candidates stand for. And not that there's a right or wrong way, but clearly we're in a very different time where things are very different. I'm just gonna leave it like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. You talked about privilege. I want to talk about that a little bit deeper because, in a way, the privilege to be in this country and to have the opinions that you can have against an opposing party
Yeah.
or against just how a person dresses or how a person is seen, there's a lot of things that you can have the privilege to have an opinion and strong opinion about and be able to walk the street and say, hey, you know what, I'm against this, right? Do you think that also changes the way that uh, mm, do you think that also changes how we perceive the world? Because in a way, like, how I'll break it down this way. My dad, he comes from being a shepherd, taking care of sheep for about 14 years of his life. When I spoke to him, it's like his goal was to go to school. He wanted to get educated. Um, Overall, that didn't go as planned for him. So he comes to the U.S. He um, he comes here at 16 and he starts working right away, right? Because for him is like, I want to build a home. I want to get back to my community. And I don't think he in his mind had a plan of making a life, right? Or having children, right? I don't think at that time he didn't have, but he meets my mom and they have children, right? But where I'm going with this is, um, I never saw my dad complain. I never saw my dad be a victim of his environment, or he just knew that he had to work. And in a way, at times, where I see is the privilege at times comes with also like a burden of being able to be a victim, like be victimized by the society. But if you talk to a lot of the parents, or when I talked to my dad during that time, he said that, the La Migra would come into the fields. He talked about many stories of they used to send him back and he would just come back in, right? And thankfully he was able to get the amnesty, right, and pass that. But his thought was like he, we just have to get it done.
Yeah.
And maybe because I was raised with that mentality, that it's very difficult for me to just see something like and I think is also like how strong I see our people.
Yeah.
Like I work alongside our people all the time. 100% of my team is all Mexican. I can guarantee you that the hardest workers, but that's where it becomes very challenging because you don't want to just be the labor. We want to be the owners. We want to be leading organizations. We want to be selling homes. We want to hear those last names. I personally went into an industry where about 90% when I was into the industry was all white American were owned. The businesses were owned. Every single boss that I had was white American. And in a way, when where I felt that I had to make a change in my life was the first time that I got fired. My dad, we were working in a CMH hospital, and we were painting a nursery. And at that time, I was 19, and we were getting paid prevailing wage. So it's like $42 an hour, right? And at 19, bro, I was just like, oh, shit, I want to be there the whole week. I was like, I wanted to be there the whole week,
Heck
right?
yeah, I would too.
Right? I want to be there the whole week. But my dad's mentality was like, no, like let's get this done. And the boss is gonna see that we do so much good work that he's gonna bring us back. He was thinking long term. When I was thinking, I'm like, nah, Dad, I want to stay here for a week. Let's take a longer time. And I remember, it was a two-tone. So it had a chair rail on the bottom and had a green, dark green, and then had a light green on the top. And it was about a 12 by 12. For two people, our expertise, man, it should be done right away, right? So my dad, that's what he thought. He's like, okay, you get this color, I get this color, and boom, we'll finish it before, the day ends. And we finished the first coat at 10. And that was early. So you're like, we can't be sitting down for 2 hours just waiting for our lunch, right? So my dad's like, hey, hijo, you know what? Right now that it's drying, how about you go get lunch? And I go to Lalo's here in Ventura, and I go get lunch. I get two tortas, man, and I'm coming back, and my dad sends me a message, and he's like, hey, you know what? Just leave the food in the car. Just leave the food in the car because Steve is here, the owner, and he's gonna get mad if we take our lunch early, right? And I was just like, okay, my mentality is very different. I was just like, why would he get mad? You know, we're finishing with the first coat. Why wouldn't we get mad, right? So I come in and I'm walking and I'm all happy and I'm like, hey, what's up, Steve? He's like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, you over here cruising around while your dad's working hard? And I was shocked about it. I was freaking surprised because the conversations that I had with him were always good. So like I was really just I was taken back.
I would too.
And but there was something that I didn't like. The disrespect.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do anything wrong. So I go so he tells me, hey, get that vacuum out of the back of my truck and go inside and put it inside. And I get that vacuum, but you could just you could just imagine how powerless I felt because somebody just talked to me like that, and I just have to shut up and listen. So I grab it and I go back in, but in my head I'm just like thinking, am I really gonna let this guy talk to me like that? You know, I personally I was like, I didn't even let my dad talk to me like that. How am I gonna let this guy talk to me like that? So I go back in, I put this thing inside, and I'm not happy, bro. I don't want to work. I'm not happy. So I go back outside and he's on the phone and I'm like, hey, Steve, do you have a second? And he looks at me and he's like, hey, let me call you back. He's like, what the fuck do you want? So he just like that, bro. I'm not, this is as close as I remember because that moment changed a lot of the things in my life, right? So he tells me, he's like, hey, you know what the fuck do you want? And I'm like, hey, Steve, I just wanted to ask you to, that the way that you talk to me, I didn't appreciate it. I'm your employee and you should talk to me with respect.
Yeah.
So he's like, no, like, you're my employee and I could talk to you however the fuck I want. So he looks at me and he's like, you know what? I'm fucking tired of your shit. You're off. Get the fuck out of here. And I got fired. I was like, bro, I was like, what?
Ooh.
What's going on? What do you mean I got fired? I didn't say anything. I go back inside and I could just tell you how, like I said, powerless. You feel so powerless. I don't know if you ever felt that gut feeling when you can't do nothing. And because I was so shocked, I didn't feel anger. I felt so much disappointment because I felt like I could have a conversation with this person because that's what I was taught in this country. When you were here, when you're going to school, that everybody's the same, everything's the same, right? That you could have a civil conversation with the person. Go back inside. I'm cleaning my bucket. My dad's on a 4-foot ladder and he's cutting in. And he looks at me with a smile and says, hey, hijo, like what? He's going to change you. He's going to move you to another job? And I said, no. Me acaba de correr. You just fired me. And just cleaning that bucket. And I remember, bro, that light green, the white bucket, my brush. I could remember every single thing. And all I could think in my head was just like, what happened? Right? I go in there and I'm cleaning my bucket now, right? He comes back in and it's a nursery. So he goes into the front, he goes to the side. And he's like, you're still fucking here? Like I told you, get out of here. I told you need to leave already. He's like, if not, I'm gonna have a security escort you. And my dad's right there, bro. My dad's literally right there. And I can remember my dad not being able to say anything because he still has to provide for his family, because he still has to rely on this job. But being able to see that's where I stood up for myself. And I said, you know what? If you want to fire me right now, give me my check, And he's like, no, I could fire you and you could, leave right now. I need you to leave right now. I was like, no, you know what, Steve? I'm going to school. And if you want to fire me, you have to give me my check on the spot. If not, every single hour that I'm here waiting for that check, I'm gonna make sure that I get paid for. So he stays quiet. He's like, all right, cool. He goes out, he gets the check. At the end, I end up picking up the check at the office. But that moment changed so much in my life. Made me understand that one is we have to make a change in our community. And as I started pushing myself, I went into working as an independent, working for contractors, but as an independent contractor. I didn't like authority because of certain circumstances that have changed, that had shown in my life, right? And I ended up building my business, thankfully, for the path that my father gave me. the path that my brother was able to open up for me, but it gives me a better awareness on like with my people that they need to stop victimizing themselves and they need to start really putting themselves in a position and sacrificing their ego, their pride. And I'm very strong believer in that because anyone can do it. And the beautiful thing is that this country allows you to do that in any kind of way that anyone, an immigrant, can come here and change uh, their change their history and leave a legacy for their family. And that's why I believe that I'm a strong believer in the U.S. and that I am very prideful to be born here and raised by Mexican family. I'm very prideful of Mexico, man. I visit there every other year. From Oaxaca, their culture, the traditions, it cannot be changed. The people cannot be changed. It's not the same. That's the beautiful thing about Mexico, that we come here with traditions, with culture, and you see that you don't see that in American culture. You don't see that. Our traditions, our culture, and everything that we do is passed down through generations and generations and generations. That family bond where you believe that you have to take care of your elders, not the other way.
Yeah.
And we go into that. I'm very curious to know like your stance on, like, you're a very strong believer on what's going on, and you're strong on where you stand with Mexico. Where does that belief come from, Ubaldo? Where is that I guess your advocacy speaking for the Mexican people? I'm more curious to know where it comes from, how is it based? Is it very similar to what I'm thinking? Is it more like, hey, about it? Educate me on a little bit about your opinion on kind of what you stand for.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I got really infuriated just hearing your story. Where a lot of the times when I hear stories like this, I'm just like, how are people in leadership positions? How are people business owners that treat other people like this? For me, that is a non-negotiable, and it's just like I do not tolerate any type of disrespect, especially when it comes to somebody like yourself, somebody like myself. It's just I don't tolerate that. So it's just like it really hurts me when I hear our people being humiliated, when our people being belittled, and for those who are not courageous enough to speak up. And it really saddens me, man. But however, my advocacy really starts. I mean, my story, man. It's just like being born in. I'll say this. I wasn't even born in the city. I wasn't even born in a hospital, bro. I was born in my grandma's house, in my grandma's living room in a rancho. And to see how far I've come, I think is a living testimony that you can make shit happen, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm just extremely thankful and blessed with the mentality that I have. But I wish more people did. I wish more people spoke up. I wish more people got educated. I wish more people simply had the strength and courage to be able to stand up, not necessarily to law enforcement, but just to stand up to a toxic partner, to stand up to a toxic boss, to stand up to a toxic person walking down the line showing disrespect. So many times we want to play nice, or it's just like, no, no vale la pena. It's just like, it's not worth your energy. Sometimes it is, bro. Sometimes it is worth our energy. And I can hear my pitch go high because this is like, this is something that comes really dear to me, man. Um, I'm big with this because I still have family who, who don't have legal citizenship here. I have family members, I have friends, I have people that I know very close to me that are scared, that are at home, that they haven't left their home in weeks. That, oh man, it's just like that. Yeah, they are just scared for their futures. These are parents, these are moms, these are cousins, these are friends. Few DACA recipients who I personally know who are scared to go to work. Um, this is just unfair. And to know that so many of our people are being disrespected, humiliated, kidnapped, that really infuriates me because I responded to trolls online saying that it's just like, well, this is what we voted for. All the other presidents did the same thing. I know that for a fact. All administrations, blue, red, white, orange, they have all done deportations. The way that this is being drawn out is just disgusting. It's just diabolical. It's just so inhumane, man, to see our people get mistreated, getting picked up, being hunted almost, and then just being put into these concentration camps or these detention centers. It just really boils my blood, man. It's just like, because that could have been me.
Yeah.
And, fortunately, fortunately, I'm very privileged to be a U.S. citizen. Like I said, thankful for the opportunities. But it could have been my brother. It could have been myself. It could have been my sister. It could have been my dad. It could have been another family member. But it's just like, this is why I feel so passionate about this. This is like, I know for a fact that I can speak up, that I can eloquently discuss with somebody about the policies, or I can get informed, because I don't know everything. I don't know everything about reforms, about policies, about everything. I don't. And that's one thing that I want to share with you and everybody else. I don't, but I am ready to get informed. I am ready to get involved, because this is something that is really terrorizing and, breaking our communities apart. So.
I can see these things do go deep into you, right? And I think that a lot of the times we get an opinion or perception based on like a lot of what we went through. Like for myself is um, those pivotal moments that you get a strong opinion, but you're still kind of in the middle because you still don't you understand very little. I was talking to my barber yesterday, and I was kind of just letting him know about. He asked me, he's like, "Hey, what do you think about what's going on right now?" I'm like, man, bro, it's like I've read a lot of books. I've done my research on my end, but there's very little that I do understand to make sure that I get like the bigger, like the bigger picture, right? And unless it's something that's very, very emotional, then I won't see it. But what I can tell you is that I'm with my people.
Yes.
I am with the Mexicans, because that is that I believe that we're gonna take over. That's just how I saw it. How I saw it in the industry is we're taking over, and I'm seeing it consistently. There's a big there's this guy. His name is Ismail, and he was able to sell his company Next Gen for over $200 million. And he always speaks about our people. He talks about just making a change in the community for the what's called the Mexicans, right?
Yeah.
But the biggest thing for me is just like, man, go out there and educate yourself. Go out there and make a change every single day in your community. This guy Ismail, he sold this company 200 million, and it just takes one person to show you the vision of what you can actually make, but also gives you kind of an insight on like what you have to do, what you have to do. But going into like what you went through and your opinion on this, I'm really interested to see the next stages with you, Waldo, because you're very passionate about what you're saying. It goes deep on like you mentioned, um, you're born in a home where your grandma, like that just a lot of the times it's just like if I told you him like, oh bro, well, like, it's you still got an opportunity to do that, because people could say that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we got these policies. It's like, bro, it doesn't take away where I'm from.
No.
It doesn't take away where I stepped on my first couple of steps. I don't know if it was, but it doesn't take away that I go visit my people, and it doesn't take away that my uncle is here. He doesn't, and he's a good person, and I see that all around. I've been around people that have been here for 10 years. They do their taxes, and I met people that are American, full Americans. They still try to mess with the system, that they don't pay their taxes, that they're trying to screw the system, and they vote for a different party. So I have understood also that it's not the party thing. It's just about human, like how being human and actually being able to understand and empathize with the other person, but also being strong in your opinion. But like, hey man, well, I made this decision based on what was in a way convenient for us,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of the people do that.
Yeah.
Some people make a decision based on what's convenient for them. Maybe they don't even know about the laws. Other people is like the propaganda. This guy's not good. This guy's better. This guy's better, and they sell you on it. They instill a little emotion. You're like, oh, this guy's right. This is the person that I'm going to vote for. And that's I'm not gonna say I was a victim, but a lot of us get sold by that propaganda because all we want to see is you get that little, that social media is very important, man. That's that attention. Social media is so big on attention. That's the new currency. They talk about that. That's the way you get currency because it's just true. You see this reel, you see this post, and you're like, hey, I like this guy, and you base it off just the person,
Yeah.
or based on like what he's portraying. But at the end of the day, you don't really know what you voted for until you actually understand it. But to go into like what I was talking to my barber about was I was just telling him, hey, you know what? There's a story of John. You probably heard it in the Bible, and it talks about, I believe it's John, and I could, you guys, I'm probably gonna butcher this really, really bad.
I probably will too. You know.
Yeah, so there's a story where he's a big believer, and his faith with God is like one of the biggest. He has the biggest faith, and they talk about that that Satan talks to God and says, oh, the only reason that he's a big believer in you is because you've given him everything. And he tells him, well, go ahead and prove me wrong, right? So Satan goes and he takes away everything. That's what kind of like clear on the story, right? So he takes away everything. He takes away his whole city. He takes away his wife, his kids, and everything, and he leaves him by himself. And he goes into like, he gets sad. He starts questioning like really his faith against God, right? And then he gets a dream, and God is able to kind of just showcase him what I go through, and he shows him the oceans. He shows him like the trees bloom. He shows him this like little things of like life and how everything is moving around in the whole world. And the perception is just kind of like the clear message was more, it's is like, I see this much and you probably see this much. And it just, that's where I got an understanding about how I see governance. Because I think last time that we met, you talked a little bit about kind of like organizations that, or like families that have contributions to a party, to contributions to the government. And that's just essentially it. Like all we can do in our end is make sure that we create an impact in our community. That's how I see it. Create an impact on your neighbor. It's like, hey, this is my neighbor, or just be a good person overall, so you could start flourishing what you want in the change in your community, in your life. And that's what I believe. But when it comes down to governance, man, to be honest with you, I don't understand it very well. Like very similar to the story that I told you. Like I very understand very little. And the older that I get, the wiser that I'm becoming on understanding, okay, this is what the story was telling about, or this is what this book was telling me about. And now it's like I'm becoming more aware, but for you, Waldo, like I see it, man. Like what are your goals for the next few years? Do you want to create like a how bigger is your intention to create an impact in the community, like going into office, making, because, and I tell you this, and the only reason I tell you this is because you had a run. I attended your run for FICE,
Yes.
right? And man, it was just like the impact that you're able to create, or the following that you have, or just the message that you've been able to portray, brought, I don't know how many people. I would probably count about 100 people together to go on a run that was about 3 miles, and just to say, hey, you know what, we're against this. And it just took one person. And I don't know if you understand that, how big of an impact you do contribute in the community to make a change. And if that's something that you're like destined to do, or if that's something that you want to do. Have you ever considered it?
Ooh, that's another great question, man. A few things. A few family members and friends have actually told me, "Hey, like you're going to be the next mayor of Oxnard," and I'm like, I wouldn't go that far. At least it hasn't been in my close proximity or close plan. However, just with everything going on right now, um, I'm considering it, man. Like I said, I can't say I'm gonna do it, but it's now, my wife and I have talked about it. It's just like, hey, are you gonna go for it? I'm just like, I don't know. Like, it's just, and there's probably a lot of people that are maybe less qualified, more qualified, but it's all about, taking the leap of faith and maybe going for it down the line. I can't say that it's a for sure, but I'm open to having the conversation and exploring that option.
Yeah.
Just because representation matters, education matters, inclusivity matters, and just being a human being, man. Like I said, my biggest thing for the next few years is just continue developing myself and developing those around me. My biggest thing is just creating a positive impact. I've had, ex-colleagues who reach out to me 10 years later. Hey, remember, you're the person that hired me. You're the one that mentored me. I'm doing this now. Or now, there sheriffs, there executives, they're doing all these things in the community. And I'm just like, you know what? You're telling me that I made an impact, and to me, that is the best compliment I could ever get. It's just like you impacted my life, and I just want to continue doing that. About it. That's I think a few years. No, I don't think a few years ago, I actually came to the realization. It's like, what is my purpose here on earth? And my purpose is to impact people in a positive way. I want to challenge people. I want to develop people. I want to encourage people. I want to tell people that it's okay to be human, that it's okay to show empathy. It's okay to show emotions. Because you can still be very firm. You can stand very tall. You can be very confident and still be able to empathize with others, still be able to have sympathy for others as well. And that's my biggest goal in life is just to contribute positively to society, to those around me, and just continue being a good person, man. That is my biggest goal is just, being a good person.
That's amazing, Ubaldo. You were telling me about like influencers, entrepreneurs. You were telling me about like just people in the community that has a sense of influence on the certain things that they have to do to make sure that they create an impact in the community. You mentioned a little bit like something about either I think keep your mouth shut or like or
Yeah,
I don't
it
know
was just
exactly
like
what
put
you
your
said, but I know
uh,
I heard something. I and while we were talking a little earlier,
mhm.
what was it again? I can't remember right now on the top of my head, but
No, of
you
course.
said something.
It was we were talking about giving advice, to
Giving
the
advice.
creators, the business owners, or the emerging leaders. Um, and my piece of advice about it is speak up.
There you
Um,
go. Speak up.
the reason being is because as Mexicans,
Yeah.
as minorities, we're instructed, put your head down, work hard. You gotta work hard, you gotta work hard and then make a name for yourself. There comes a time that we realize that it's just like working hard is only gonna take you so far. You have to speak up. If you are in need or wanting a raise, you have to speak to that manager, to the VP, to the HR person. Hey, this is why I need a raise. Not just, hey, do you think I can get a raise? No, no. Like you got to go in. Hey, about I've been with the company X amount of years. This is what I contributed. These are the projects that I'm on. These are all my notes. This is everything that I contributed to the organization over the X amount of years. This is what people are earning in my industry. This is my current, and then this is where I like to be. Come in with facts, come in with a request, and what's the worst thing that can happen? Oh no, right now it's not annual performance time, or you know what, right now we can't do it, we're restructuring the company. But who knows? Out of all those times that you do try, they might be like, hey, you know what about? You're right.
Mhm.
We don't want to lose you. We're going to go ahead and approve that salary increase. Hey, you know what? I was gonna ask this person if I can maybe conduct business with them, pero me da pena, I'm a little shy. I don't know if like, it's gonna happen. I really want to work with and collaborate with this person. What's the worst thing that can happen? Shoot that email, shoot that DM, call them, text them, have somebody do a warm handoff, warm introduction, because it's like my biggest thing is closed mouths don't get fed.
There we go. That's it.
And it's just like, and
Good point.
as a Mexicano, as a Latino, we need to speak up and we need to take up space.
Got it.
Oftentimes we feel so little because it's just like, oh, well, I don't know how to navigate through corporate America. I don't know how to navigate through this conference. I don't know how to navigate through this environment. You embody yourself and embody who you want to be and take up space. If you have been given an opportunity to be in a room, it's because you deserve to be in that room. And stop belittling yourself because you don't think that you're up to par, up to standards with those around you. So that's my piece of advice. And to the emerging creators as well is just being your authentic self, dude. There's nothing better in this world than being your authentic self.
Let me ask you, there's
Yes.
something that has, or in my household,
Mm,
when I speak to my younger brother, I'm 31. My younger brother is 24. My younger sister is about 21. So they're like, a millennial.
mm.
They're a Gen, I think it's Gen Z,
Yeah,
Gen Z. So their perspective is very different,
it is.
right? And one of the things that is brought up when I ask them is like, what do you guys think about this? Or what do who are you guys listening to? What followers? Or like
Mm,
one of the things that they say is also it's who are we giving credit to? Like there's a lot of influencers that are Hispanic Americans,
mhm,
but they are influencing them on I would say is like um in their opinion, right? And because I don't want to put words in it,
mm,
very similar. Something they have mentioned was that because they have a big following, they think they could have an opinion, or their opinions are going to be I guess, backed up because of their following, but they're not the person to be intended to
mm.
offer an opinion. So what would you say about that too? Because there's a lot of influencers, there's a lot of people that are making movements, but it has nothing to do with the political views. It has nothing to do with like running a business. Maybe some of them they do a lot of content, like funny content, or like this, things that just blew up nowadays, right? What would you say to that? Like, would you say that that's maybe um, I guess for me is just I think their concern is just like who are the younger generation going to be following as leaders, and as we get older. It's like there's a statistic, and like I'll probably butcher, like I said, that now a younger generation, now they want to become YouTubers. They want to become TikTok influencers. They want to become Instagrammers, and but like they don't want to become the builders anymore. There's a lot of content out there that there's builders, or there's funny content about construction, but they're not construction workers. They're just they put the little hat on, and they talk as like, oh, this or that, or Mr. George, and all these things, and they create a big following, and then their opinion is based on an emotion, or or just a belief, and it could be relied on, and a lot of people can agree with it. So how would you? What do you think about that? I guess that in a way, yeah. What do you think about that?
Once you have a platform that you've established in whatever niche you created, it's important to continue being your authentic self, because if not, it catches up to you. Putting on a facade catches up to you. It's exhausting. It wears you out. And I know a few people who have a certain image on social media, and it's just like, man, I'm sure that's exhausting.
Yeah.
Um, we're a human being, and why don't you just showcase the human side of you, and really tell people who you are as a person? That's the right influence. And influencers should be able to also acknowledge what's going on. And especially today's climate, it's so hard for people to quote unquote choose a side A, B, or you're wrong. There's no C or D or E. My biggest thing is just being transparent, being honest, being authentic, and really putting your best image forward. Because especially once you've gained a large following or you created a platform, the influence becomes impactful. You can terrorize and terminate a business if you do a bad Yelp or Google review, or you bash them online. Just like you can uplift a business as well. So just being very mindful of the power that your influence has. So that's a biggest thing for content creators.
Got it. Okay. Okay. And then you go to closed mouths don't get fed. That's where I've seen that in our culture is very common. Like when I was, and I don't know if it's a culture thing, or it's a limiting belief thing, or maybe you have some insight on it. But when I was a kid, when my dad spoke, it was just like you put your head down, you talk, you're quiet. As I started getting older, it was just you give the person respect by giving some eye contact, right? But you see that in all in the culture, like when you're trying to talk to them, they put their head down. It's very common in some cultures that this is how they listen, this is how they give you respect, and I tell you that because like you bring up like asking for a raise. Most of the Latinos, they don't they're not asking for raises at times. And then when they do ask for the raise, is they demand it. You know, it's like, no, no, me tienes que dar más dinero, if not, I'm going somewhere else. And it's like, well, there's certain ways of being able to kind of ask for something, right? But there's also certain things that you have to, I guess, embody or like, I guess, remove. And I think it has to do more with people that are coming here, you know, because I think the Mexican Americans, in a way, is like we go back to, in a sense, they're privileged. They go into that victim mentality to like, oh, you know what? No, I deserve this. But it's like you said, it's like, well, tell me why you deserve it, right? But it's kind of like I would probably go back to more the people that coming here that want to make a change, that they do want to be in the society. Like let's say that admin, what is it? Amnesty does go through like what are the things that those people should be doing to make sure that they're able to be also in our community, because it's like I have some people too, and I tell you this more in the perspective on like where, you know, some of my guys don't speak a word of English. And as they want more money, and I tell them is like one thing is like you want more money. A lot of the times it has to come with more responsibility, and sometimes the responsibility has to, unfortunately, or just because where we live, you do have to speak the language. You do have to speak the language. So I push them. Hey, you know what? You go to school, go to night school. They ask me how I can help you. Most of the times, I could connect you with the person. Maybe I won't be able to like be the person, but I can connect you to somebody. They can help you out and go to school. And at times it's just like that's where I go back to. It's like um the culture is like, nah, I don't want to do it. You know, I'd rather go watch the soccer game or rather do this. So when it comes to that, maybe you're not speaking to those people, but the guys are like, hey, you know what? I like, ¿qué puedo hacer, Ubaldo? You know, ¿qué puedo hacer para que pueda crear una compañía, o cuáles lugares puedo mirar, who should I listen to, who would you recommend or suggest, or like schools or like I guess trade schools or just like YouTube channels. Who do you recommend or who do you suggest that people, our people go and search of so they could get those answers, or
I think
just your insight?
I think you'd be a great candidate, brother.
No, thank
I think you'd be a great candidate for like a mentorship program.
yeah,
Uh, I don't do much work like in the private sector where it's more on a corporate side for me. However, there's just so many resources out there that are free. Like YouTube University,
yeah,
that's a big one as well. And there's a lot of resources out here in the county as well. I know the Oxnard Adult School no longer exists, at least where it was before. I'm not sure if there's a new one, but really encourage those to really take a step. Those who want to will, because if not, then we're just gonna continue hearing the same people say, "Oh, it's just like no tengo tiempo." It's just like no, pues tengo familia. Estoy muy cansado. Those who will want to succeed will make the time. You know that for a fact.
yeah.
Said if we wanted to, we would. And that's my biggest piece of advice is just like, don't be so stuck in your own ways, and because we are our biggest roadblocks at times.
Yeah.
So really ask for help. And I think that's another thing is in the community, we are so scared to ask for help, whether it's due to our egos. It's like, no quiero que Abad me diga, oh, like, pues Ubaldo no la está haciendo, pues está pidiendo ayuda.
Yeah.
No, it's just, I'm asking for help so I can get some guidance on how to start my new business.
Yeah.
I see that you've been successful in the painting business. I want to start my painting business too. I don't want to compete with you, but I want to, I want to start establishing. So really asking for those in the community who are already involved, asking them, and like I say, closed mouths don't get fed once again.
Yeah.
So if you're not asking the local business owner of how he or she started the business, then it's just like, what are we doing then?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
my biggest thing is just taking the initiative.
Yeah. But then we go back to, and I go back to the culture because it's a lot of pride,
Yeah.
you know. And I tell you this because now I've actually been I'm under two different mentors. One, his name is Eric Barstow. He's probably one of the top leading painting mentors in the industry. He's built multiple $1 million companies. And another one that I'm working alongside with is Aiden Smith, and he has a Paint Pro coaching. And I'm gonna be working under him to actually coach and mentor painters that want to take their company to the next level. And that's something I just started moving for, but it took a lot of sacrifices and like removing your pride, removing your ego, your procrastination. And these are the things that I feel like are like culture driven. It's like, no, I'm not gonna ask him. Or you see this guy's like, oh no, I'm not gonna ask him because I'm gonna be better than him, or you know what, oh, he's my competitor, and it's a lot of the times it's like you realize that a lot of these things you do want to share with.
Yeah.
You do want to share with. And trust me, I tell you that because I was in the culture of like, hey, you know what, I think last time you heard a little bit about, like, I was in the network marketing, multi-level marketing, and you go in there and they give you information for free. Now that you take it and use it, that's one thing. That's a very important thing that I saw in my life is actually using it, right? Like, you learn it, but you use it. And I don't want to sidetrack, but going back to the what we were talking about, our culture was just like a lot of the painters that were old in the industry is like, oh no, yo no le voy a enseñar a ese because, like, it took me years to learn this. It took me years. Now he has to learn it that way, Oh, it took me. Then one of the things that we share in our company is like my brother, a perfect example. My brother came in from, working retail. He came in 2 years and he's a project manager now. And in 2 years, he was able to become a project manager. But that was my goal. And my goal to him is like, as we grow, is like, we want to bring in more project managers. You want to go into, essentially being director of operations and then go into sales, and you raise yourself, receive more awareness and more knowledge so you could raise yourself and essentially take over the CEO position. That's why I tell my brother all the time, like, bro, I want you to do this. I want you to kind of envision yourself in that position so you could really change your perspective every single time. But the whole thing is like, when I tell him, is like, bro, if it took you 2 years to become a project manager, I want you to, the next guy, take him 6 months, take him 4 months, take them 2 months, like, just quick, because you share everything that you didn't do. You tell them, hey, this is, bro, you do this, no, you do this, and the person that you said that wants to do it, that wants to learn, he will do it and he'll make that change in his life. And that's something that we're able to get from, like, just like, I guess, my experience. So going back to what we're talking about is like, do you think it has to do with that? Do you think it's a culture thing that's like, when you're talking about pride,
Yeah.
ego,
100%.
and how do you remove that? And or if did you ever go through that yourself? Did you ever go through, as you were going through your journey? Because in a way that I just met you, right? And every single time you carry yourself with the very persona, you carry yourself very respectful. So, and you've always given me the respect. But how were you? Let us talk about like high school. Ubaldo, was that the guy that's
Let's
like?
not talk about high school Waldo. Let's not. I like the Colonel Waldo. I like the Colonel Waldo a lot better. No, it's been a journey, man. It
Yeah.
really has been a journey to get to where I am today. And we go back to ego. I'm gonna pivot into a mental health headspace right now, because as Hispanics, as Mexicans, the whole mental health thing is and was taboo. I feel like it's more welcome now. However, it's still a bit uncomfortable for a lot of people. So once I put my ego to the side and say, hey, I need to start therapy. Why? Because there's nothing wrong with me, but I want to be able to analyze and understand of why I am, why I do the things that I do, and really understand who Ubaldo Martinez is. I wish I would have started therapy in high school. I wish I would have started therapy years ago. And it really has changed my life for the better. So it's just like, I am a huge mental health advocate because it really has changed and elevated my life. It's been one of my best investments life to date. Life to date. So I want to make sure that others feel comfortable speaking about their emotions, sharing their appreciation, sharing their gratitude, male to male, or so, man to man. I want to be able to express that to you. Hey, I'm proud of you. Hey, I appreciate you. Hey, you're doing great. Hey, what about, I love you, man. Then it's just like, we're like, what the fuck? I mean, that's weird. This is like, don't be saying that. It's like, why not? Breaking the stigma. That's been my biggest thing. People are like, well, Baldo, was something wrong with you? No, there's nothing wrong with me. But however, there's some things that you have to really unpack from your childhood, from your teen years, your early 20s, to be able to understand of why you've been the way you've been and why you want to change. So I was in therapy for a few years, and it were some really tough conversations that I had to have with myself and my therapist. And I'm so glad that I did, because now it's just like we talk about authenticity. It's just being your authentic self. There's no better way to live life than being your authentic self. If somebody perceives me a certain way, I'm like, I don't care, dude. Like, you don't pay my bills. I don't care what you do, what you don't do. Like, I'm happy. I'm traveling. I'm eating well. I'm with my wife. I'm with Bentley. I have a loving family. Like, I have nothing to worry about. But it's like once you have that mental clarity, dude, it's just you're unstoppable. If you have that emotional intelligence and that mental clarity, I guarantee you that you will succeed in your personal, professional business, because that is the foundation of your overall wellness. I always say you can have the most top tier physique at the gym, but if your mental health is fucked up, dude, who cares? Um, that's really gonna deteriorate you in ways that you don't even know. So make your mental health a priority, your wellness a priority, your physical health a priority, your spiritual health a priority. Because once you really start making those things a priority, life does start to get better. So
Mhm. You're a big advocate on mental awareness and just men being able to go to therapy. And I see that on your social media posts. And you tell me that you went into it, but was there ever like I don't know if it's too personal, if I may, but what was the main reason? Was there and I tell you my story,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So 18, I have my son. 19, I have my daughter. They're only about 13 months apart. So like you said, you don't want to talk about, high school. Although, me in high school, I was a kid that I just felt like I didn't have a clarity, but I was also very good at every single thing that I did. I was pretty good at certain sports, but I was never committed to it, right? And what really side railed me was like girls. And I think I had to mention to you a little bit of times in the gym, like just kind of certain things, and but it was the girls, man. It was the girls. It was just um, it was just that. It was just like my dad was a big, what's called, he listened to Joan Sebastian. So this guy was like a big lover. So you listen to him like, damn, this guy is el poeta del pueblo,
Yes,
bro.
yes, yeah.
And and something that I wanted to embody, right? As you start trying to figure yourself like, who the hell am I? Am I this romantic guy? And in a way, I found out that I'm very romantic, right? At heart, but to show it, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. And but I tell you this because as 18, 19, and then I was in a relationship for about 10 years, and the relationship ended when I wanted to make a decision in my life. That's where I understood to take action. When I decided to take action, everything started unfolding, and I really had to figure out and really sit down with the person that I was. And that's where I decided to go to therapy. It was just looking at the accumulation of what I had done in my life, and then to see and reflect like, what was I doing this whole time?
Yeah.
Was I going in circles? What was I doing this whole time? I thought I was living. And and I've heard this, and I'm on stoicism, on big phrases. There's one. It's like, um, I rather have a mistake, and I'm not the best at quoting quotes, right? But I rather have a mistake in my life that brings humility, than a win in my life that gives me arrogance. And that's something that I've really learned in my life, that I've become more humble. Because if you would have met me maybe when I was 18, 19, 20, I had this big ego. I was going to take over the world. I was going to make sure that I would just stand up everywhere. It's like, I want everybody to see me. I'm this guy, I'm that, you know? And as I started getting older, I just realized I'm like, I was very intense, you know? I've humbled myself a lot. I've humbled myself a lot. I've understood that I was wrong about so many things. I was probably wrong about everything. And this whole time I was wanted to be right. But as I started seeing what I was going through, what went through my whole life, it was just a pivotal moment to really self reflect. And I stayed by myself, sit down, And a lot of the times, the moments that I felt the lowest, I realized that there was no one really out there that's going to come over here and be like, hey, everything's going to be fine. And that's where I really found myself with God and the faith and like, hey, making a change and making those change are steps to make sure that you progress. And that was when I decided to move forward and get into therapy. And it was a big because of you. You had told me about therapy. And in a way, I did have that stigma, like you said, it's like, man, it was therapy. You're around. Sometimes there's a lot of controversy. Oh man, shouldn't you have to sit down and share his emotions and this and this and that? Like maybe you're right, but I'm not. And if you have that perception, if you look at me, Victor, that's totally fine with me. I've understood that I don't have to define my strength. They said, and I embody this as a man at peace is not a. Do not mistake a man at peace. Do not mistake a peaceful man to be unskilled at war. And I realized that that's the truth. Do not mistake because I'm peaceful, that I'm unskilled at war or unskilled at showing you where I come from. And if I take out my shirt, everybody could see as like how I am, how my body's all tattered. It's like if I show you where I come from, where my family comes from, what I used to wear, that that doesn't, you don't have to know that about me to show you just because I'm peaceful. And I've realized that, and I've humbled myself more and more and more. And I've understood that that's the transition in my life I had to do. And for you, what was it? Like, was there, sir, like a moment where,
Yeah. No, well, that's an amazing story, by the way, and I feel like after you hear me, is we do very very similar. I'm glad that we're not seeing the unhealed about anymore. That, nonetheless, very similar to you. I fell on top of the world. El mundo era mío. I was just like thinking I own
yeah,
the floor that I walked in and everything. But fast forward, it's just there's a lot of things that you don't process in life. And a big thing was my pivotal time was when got engaged with Liz. And at that time, I'm just like, there's a few things that I wanted to address, to learn and unlearn, and things that I was having trouble like really expressing. And I'm just like, what's going on? And I really needed to take a step back. And I always like to share this story. We were actually having brunch with a good friend, and this friend was positive, full of life, just energetic. And then she started talking about therapy, and I'm just like, are you like suicidal? And she's like, no. And then she's like, because oftentimes that's a stigma, like there's something wrong, you're battling demons and you don't want to commit suicide. That's not the case. She's like, no, it's just two processes. And I like that really just like kick started my journey. And I followed up with her. I'm like, hey, how did you get started? Like how's your journey? And she was telling me that she fired her first therapist, and then that the second therapist was like the best thing. And that's the same thing that happened to me. I fired my first therapist. I fired my third therapist. And my second one, which we know, amazing. But nonetheless, really went into therapy to analyze myself, to really discover who Ubaldo Martinez um, was and is. Because so many times I'm just like questioning like why I did certain things, why I reacted, why I was so emotional with certain things, but I was so distant with other things. I'm like blaming my parents for certain things, blaming myself, and it's just like really understanding the root cause of certain feelings that were never really processed. So that really allowed for me to really have a breakthrough moment. There'd be at times that I'd be in a therapy session outside my car before going to work. I'd be bawling my eyes out, bro, like chillando, as they say. And it's just like, fudge, how am I gonna like regroup and walk back into the office?
yeah,
But it was those moments that were very challenging emotionally and internally that really allowed for me to heal.
yeah,
I said, right now, I don't have a worry in the world. It's just like, of course, there's a lot of things to worry in the world. I don't want to sound inconsiderate because the world is very turbulent right now, but it's just like, I'm very blessed to be in a good mental space, to have a good relationship with God, to have a good relationship with my family. And like I said, at the end of the day, I'm just people say, well, you're too positive. Like they don't even come at me with any of their problems because I'm just gonna like rebuttal and be like, give them a solution. I'm like, you want me to hear you out, or you want me to give you a solution, bro? Like, because there's only two options, and people don't even come to me with their problems anymore because they know that it's just like I'm gonna ask a follow up question, and And my thing is just taking action and just executing your plan as well. So if your plan is to start therapy and I talk to you in 3, 4 months again, and it's just like, oh, how's therapy going? I haven't started. Then don't talk to me. This is like, you did not hold yourself accountable. If you need an accountability partner, you can count on me. But nonetheless, it's just really taking action and executing what you say you're going to do.
Right, right. When you say that mentality of just like I wouldn't say it's like you cut people off, but you understand who you want to be around with
Yeah.
and who you don't want to be around with. Where did that come from?
Tolerating bullshit, bro. Like, it's just tolerating a lot of people who are inconsistent, inconsiderate, and disrespectful. So it's not just that I can talk to literally anybody. I can talk to the wall and the plants, and it's
Yeah.
just like we'd be having a really good conversation. I'm a very social person. However, it's just like I don't just mess with everybody because so many people, it's just like, they just like to bitch and complain, bro. And it's just like, that's not me. I'm not the type of person to complain every single day. I'm all about expressing gratitude, expressing positivity, and emitting positivity into this world. I'm not the type of person that's going to be dragged into any type of negative energy or people who are just pessimistic. Hey, how are you? Another day, living in paradise. Like, I don't want
That's
to
a
see.
drain. Yeah, it's a big drain.
Yeah, it's just like it's draining, bro. It's just like,
Right now you just say that I was like, oh man, I did.
yeah, get out of here, dude. It's
Get
just
out of here,
like
Waldo.
miss me with that, dude.
Yeah.
It's just like
No.
I don't. And it's not like I'm gonna be the person that's always gonna be positive. It's just like, at least for a fact, just be genuine about it. If you're not feeling at 100%, it's cool. I'd rather for you to be your authentic self at 70% and come, hey, well, how are you? Hey, I'm pushing through my workout. You know what? Have a good workout about it. We'll catch up at a later time.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's
yeah.
just like setting those boundaries with those people, whether family, friends, colleagues. Don't let people interrupt your energy and who you are as a person.
All right, awesome, man. That's amazing. So it must have taken a lot of I guess being around the wrong people to understand what you accept, and then being around the right people where you want to know who you want to be with, and it's overall just kind of like I feel like uh, you're very well educated. You've told me about you have school. I don't know if you read constantly. I know we've talked about it in the gym before, and you're an avid reader. But it's just like also it's like reading that bullshit. Just kind of reading the bullshit is like your bullshit is like, well, you're bullshitting me, bro. Like, like, come on, bro. Like,
Okay, like it's like,
don't tell me.
yeah.
It's like, I was here and there. I try to give myself some inspiration right now. Like I was telling you, I'm going to speak at an event in Miami, and
Congratulations, by the way.
I'm talking about legacy. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm talking about legacy, and I try to go back in my pictures and just try to figure out like what's my life, because sometimes you just like when you're talking about legacy, it's a lot. So I'm trying to figure out what to speak to make sure that my message is impactful. And I looked at my pictures, and I have a picture with you. That it's we're together and we're taking a picture on the gym, but then I have a video and I'm recording, like, oh, he decided to show up late, and you're like, no, no, bro, no, 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 and I just reminded me of how we used to kind of just keep each other accountable. It was like, and it was just that standard that makes you think it's like, oh, Wilder's gonna be there at 6. I need to show up, and then you show up a little late. You're like, oh, it's like, oh, bro, I guess the covers got a little the covers, But that was like the never miss moment, man, and it made it makes it fun. I think for some people it makes it fun. For some other people it's just like, bro, I don't want to fucking see this guy. It's like I don't want to see
That's
this
fine. I
guy.
don't want to see you either.
It's like, but it's like that. It's like I don't want to see this guy. Um, he's always asking me this. He always wants to keep me accountable. And then you really see who really wants to go for it and who doesn't want to go for it. And you see like the moments that people are changing, and the moments that the people are gone, and what's going on. And it's like you said, like there was many times that, you would come, and I feel like I was a little bit during that was a journey that I was going through, and you would say hi, but I was just like very dismissive. And I think I had seen you again. That was the last time I saw you at the gym. I had seen you like at 9 in the morning. I was like, oh, Baldo, and I came with a different mindset, but it was just like the things that I was going through that I was processing, but I was still showing up, but I was just like, my mind was somewhere else. But it's good to know that there's people like that in the community, that there's people like that, and like around you, and you just have to find them.
Yeah.
How were you able to find people like yourself, or where did you search them, or how did they come to your life? Because you talk about, you mentioned a lot about your wife. You talk about Elizabeth. We had her here before, and we talked to her, and I replayed the video. I'm like, hey, I've been having my kids for the summer break, and I've been giving them like a structure. And I tell them, hey, okay, you have to do your breakfast. After that, you have to make sure that you do a workout for 30, 45 minutes, and then you have to, journal, tell me what's going on, your emotions, and then like what you want to do. And then after that, you have to do something creative. Then you get your lunch, you get chill, and then you come back and you have to do a project. So yesterday they did coupled like a project. They a step YouTube video about like how to make an acai bowl.
Okay.
And it was very interesting. But those are the people that for myself have really gave me a different standard on how to become a better father. Like having your conversation with my older brother, with my younger brother. There's a very different dynamic because I grew up with my brother was 3 years apart, the other one's 7 years apart. So there's a big difference. Like I grew up with this guy that's 3 years older than me, but he was able to kind of um, he was the protector. He was a defender. I was like his little shadow, in the back. And as he started getting older, he got himself into some trouble. But I was always there, always. And that's my father telling me, hey, your brother's your brother, your brother. And those are the things that have created a very bond with like brother, but with him, right? But they're people that trigger certain things with you, and they kind of help you level up. Like I don't want to skip over like when you talk about with your relationship with Elizabeth, she's a realtor. She has a busy life, and she has created a platform for her. How's that personal thing? Has that ever driven you, like in the masculine side, to be like, okay, well, I need to stand myself firm as well. Like I need to be this because it's for some people you might say like they can't handle it, man. Like a woman like that with high intensity, high competitive, and the times that I saw her, like my little daughter was like, "Papa, she sits so good. She has that posture the whole time." And I watched the whole video, and I was like, "God damn, yeah, she
And then
does."
there's me like,
I'm over here like kicking back. I'm like, I want to throw back, and I want to sit back, and I'm like, and she had that posture, and my kids are like, "Oh my gosh, who is she? Who's that?" And it gives me like, wow, this is a great role model. But being alongside her, being next to her as a man, like, does that carry anything, or does that like make you feel like, hey man, I need to step up because when I walk next to this woman, I need to be the man to be able to. Es como dicen, is like everybody is like, oh man, yeah, I could do that too. Like I could be with the woman. Man, it takes standards. It takes a way of communication. It takes a way of like being the man that you are to show that. So tell me a little bit about that dynamic because every time I see you guys, man, it's like you guys are both have that fiery thing. It's just that fire. Like you have that fire, she has that fire, and I could just imagine just like when you guys are around each other, there's like a sense of also just like, hey, you have to do this or you have to do that. But you guys keep your relationship is so beautiful because you guys keep yourself accountable. I don't know what happens behind the doors. I don't know if you guys fight or if you guys
she
argue or
beats me
anything.
up. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, that's a beautiful question, and thank you for the kind words. We have a great partnership, brother. We are best friends. We're business partners. We mentor one another. We provide a lot of feedback to one another. And the biggest thing is we complement each other. When it comes to fitness, we're both there. Some days she's the one that's waking me up. Hey, get out of bed. It's 4:15. You're going to be late. There's some times that it's me. Hey, we said we're going to hit the gym 6 times this week. Let's go. Hey, we said we're going to go to church at 8 a.m. Like, oh, no, but I don't want to. Hey, let's go. And I'm like, all right, cool. So it's just the accountability. Just like I'm accountable and she's accountable, we hold each other accountable. Hey, we say we want to travel to this place by this time. All right, cool. Let's do that. Hey, we say we wanted to do this by this deadline. Where are we at? We do quarterly check-ins. We do annual check-ins. Hey, where are we with our goals? Hey, I don't want to postpone this quarterly goal for the next one. So it's just we're business partners, we're best friends, we're lovers. We worked out together. We do everything together. So I say wherever you surround yourself really matters. And luckily we spend a lot of time with one another. So we really uplift each other. And sometimes I'm at 100%. Sometimes she's at 70%. There's sometimes where she's at 100 and now I'm at 70, and there's sometimes that we're both at 100. And it's just really picking up where one of us is not at 100%. And
Yeah.
it's a beautiful partnership. And honestly, I'm very proud of her. It's just like she does make me level up. Oftentimes, it's just like I see her killing it in the deals, how she speaks on camera,
Mm.
how she just carries herself. I'm just like, well, damn, man, I can't. I'm like, let me face myself. Let me make sure that I'm dressing well. Let me make sure that I'm physically fit, that I'm
Yeah.
able to keep up, that I'm also protecting her, that
Yeah.
I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a man to protect and provide as well. So
Exactly.
it's a beautiful partnership, brother. Like I
That's
said, very,
awesome,
very,
bro.
very blessed.
I think just by having that one person then, like a person like Elizabeth on your side, I think is more than enough
I agree.
to like you don't need anybody else, right? And that's amazing that you have that. You're fortunate to have that in your life, but it must have cost you a lot. And I know that we were talking off camera that it did. It cost you a lot on just changing those behaviors that you grew up with and making sure you change that. And it's good. And I know we messed around as like, bro, I was like, you know what? Elizabeth, why, why'd you bring her? Well, it's supposed to be a guy's night, okay. But it's like, and this is just me being, like, now that we've getting to know a lot
Yeah,
more is just messing around with you. But it's just like the what you show on social media is what you show in person. And I saw it when I sat down with Elizabeth. You were here rooting for her. You guys make changes in your life to make sure that you're supporting each other, and you see that on social media, and you see that. Like I said, this is more like people. I want you to guys to understand that it's the truth. It's not like they're over here messing around. It's like no, it's true. Now, whatever you guys have, I've learned nothing's perfect. We have to make sure it's two different dynamics. So there must be challenges that you guys go on a day-to-day basis or ways, but you guys have perfected it. Like you mentioned to me, the way that you guys communicate, the way that you guys challenge yourself, the way that you guys keep accountable. And at times it could be frustrating. It's like, oh man, I kind of want to sleep in. No, you said this. And at times it's like, oh, okay, I guess, and it's like you don't want to talk to this person right now for a little bit, but you understand that they're helping you level up. And that's the beautiful thing that I have seen, like when you did your marathon. You
yeah.
could see like, Elizabeth's the what is it? And you had your whole family there
The
too.
whole fact.
Yeah, you had all your whole family. And it's like the trips you guys take, the events that you guys show up when you guys go to church and all these things that I've been able to see. That's amazing, man. That's something to kind of pursue and something to learn more about with you. I mean, I know that we're gonna have more conversations moving forward, and hopefully we're able to
Absolutely.
just keep ourselves a little bit better bond between you and I, Ubaldo, and get to know more about how I can do that for myself. Like I said, I've learned a lot of things in my life. I've gone through so much in relationship things that a lot of the times it was a lot of things that I could have worked on myself, that I could have probably changed, that could have made that relationship better.
Mm.
And now we can't look at the past and be like, oh, you know what, ya pasó, it happened. There's the only change that I can make is now, and those are the changes that I'm making with my family, making the changes with my kids, making the changes with my partner right now. And those are the things that I want to learn from. So these are the things that I want to learn from you about. And that being said, man, if there's anything else that you wanted to share, uh, we can continue the conversation, or if we're good to go.
Absolutely. So just one thing to finish off the relationship is just
Oh yeah.
this is for anybody, for you and for anybody. It's just of course no relationship is perfect, but really challenge yourself and having those tough conversations. Even in your relationship, show up as your authentic self, because there's no waste of energy in relationship if you're not showing up as the person you're meant to be as well. Of course, there's going to be some changes that will come with time, because you don't want to be the person that you were 5, 10 years ago. Learn each other's love languages. That's
Mhm.
important. But most importantly, just respect one another.
Yeah.
Respect one another, and just it sounds really cliche, but just be yourself. If your partner is meant to be with you, they're going to be with you. They shouldn't bring you down. They should help you elevate and bring out the best version of yourself.
Okay.
But yeah, before I end, I just want to say thank you about it. Honestly, I want to say congratulations
Thank you.
on your podcast, on your success at work and your company. I've seen how you've grown as a person, as an individual, as a professional, as a father, as a public speaker. Congratulations on your keynote speaking in Miami, Florida. Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
But honestly, I'm proud of you about it. It's like we talk about surrounding ourselves with like-minded individuals, and you're there, man. I said that you put in a lot of work. I see the books you read, and you incorporate what you're taking in. You're asking for mentorship. You're investing in yourself. You're investing in your business. You're investing in your kids. I want to be part of that family. Like, I want to have structure with, like, where I have to do a project, where I have to, work out. Like, that's how what we aspire to be as parents. I would like to, one day when God gives us the privilege to be parents, to be able to do what you're doing with your kids is, I guess, have structure, have discipline. So I hope that you give yourself the grace and the credit of everything that you've accomplished and how far you become about. So
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it,
made it.
Ubaldo. And it's been a journey for myself as well. Like I said, everybody has gone through their stages, and right now I'm thankful for is that I'm making those changes now, and I keep on getting better every single week, every single day, every single month. And I appreciate those kind words, and I wish to continue this relationship, and even another sit down to go more deeper into just kind of like the relationship. I'm really interested. I know it's going to be a very long conversation, but I'm really interested to get to know you a little bit more in the relationships. I've always understood that the more truth that you can learn about yourself while you're sitting down, the more that you're going to be able to accumulate in your future. The more truth, the harder conversations that you're able to have are going to be able to show you how your future is going to look like in the future. So thank you
Sure.
again, Ubaldo. It's been great.
It's my
Thank you so
pleasure.
much, man.
My pleasure,
Appreciate
man.
it. All right.
That's a wrap.